Hollywood, a land where fame, beauty, and power seem within grasp. Yet beneath the dazzling lights lies a harsh truth that few dare to confront. In a world where youth is a prized possession and aging a looming terror, even the brightest stars are not immune to the price they must pay for perfection. What appear to be harmless transformations can unravel not just their outer beauty, but the very essence of who they are. Today, we delve into the chilling tales of stars who have given up everything in their quest for an image that no longer resembles the person their fans once knew. Behind these drastically altered faces lie deep-seated fears, missteps, and lives forever changed. Hit a 1 if you can empathize with their struggles, or a 0 if you see it differently. Don't miss out on these revealing stories. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to hit the notification bell. Jessica Alba's transformation goes beyond the visible. It is extreme, relentless, and profoundly psychological. Once known as Rodrigo Alves, Jessica first captured global attention with the nickname the real-life Kendall, fixated on attaining a flawless, artificial look. But this was just the beginning. Surgery evolved into a language of self-expression, constantly reshaping and rewriting her identity, pushing her limits in a quest for perfection that would define her very essence. Beginning at the age of 17, Jessica embarked on a path of extreme transformations, undergoing invasive procedures that most doctors would refuse. Artificial belly implants, rhinoplasty, facial contouring, and even rib removal. These surgeries were not simply about altering her appearance, they were part of a deeper, personal quest to redefine her identity through the art of surgery. Each procedure was not just a physical change, but a deliberate step in the relentless process of recreating herself, at a cost that was far from insignificant. Over time, Jessica has become a living testament to a society where perfection isn't a desire, but a demand. She pursued perfection with an unyielding drive, each physical change not only mirroring a personal obsession, but also the crushing societal pressures of beauty standards. Her procedures became increasingly extreme, from breast augmentation and facial modifications to more radical surgeries like rib removal. Yet, despite all these transformations, Jessica remains steadfast in her belief. She has never stopped and will continue to reinvent herself in her own image, on her own terms. As time passed, Jessica's journey evolved further. After transitioning and embracing her identity as a woman, she underwent a series of transformative cosmetic surgeries, including full facial feminization, breast implants, body contouring, and countless other adjustments. The total cost of these procedures surpassed $750,000, and the sheer number of surgeries is nothing short of staggering. Yet, despite this extensive transformation, she insists that her journey is far from over. Each procedure was not merely a physical change, but a pivotal step in her ongoing quest for self-discovery and reinvention. Jessica didn't merely alter her body, she completely reconstructed her identity, creating a new image where she could fully embrace her true self. The cosmetic surgeries she chose were a reflection of her desire to align her outward appearance with her inner essence, breaking through societal expectations and personal struggles to become the version of herself that feels liberated and at peace. Despite the hefty price tag of her journey, Jessica remains unwavering in her belief that she is far from finished. In recent years, she has continued to maintain a powerful presence on television and social media, openly sharing her ongoing transformation and the next chapters of her evolving story. Jessica exudes an undeniable confidence, but beneath the surface, There are constant undercurrents of anxiety and psychological struggles. The lingering question remains, when does this transformation become enough? The boundary between self-discovery and addiction to change is razor thin. Jessica's body is not only a living canvas sculpted by countless cosmetic procedures, it also serves as a cautionary tale of what can happen when the quest for personal identity becomes inextricably linked to the blade of the scalpel. Her story goes beyond a dramatic transformation in appearance. It reveals a deeper, more unsettling fear. No matter how much she changes, Jessica may never feel truly complete. When someone turns to surgery to alter both their appearance and their identity, the fundamental question remains, do they truly find fulfillment, or are they simply responding to a profound dissatisfaction and fear of never fully embracing who they are? This internal conflict has driven Jessica to relentlessly pursue perfection through surgeries, but it also raises a broader, existential question about the endless nature of this journey. Simon Cowell was once the epitome of confidence and authority, a man whose sharp words and commanding presence helped shape modern television. For years, his face mirrored the power he wielded, a symbol of his influence. But as time passed, an underlying fear began to take hold. In an industry that reveres youth, Simon grew increasingly anxious about the effects of aging. In his pursuit of timelessness, he turned to a series of aesthetic treatments, Botox, fillers, subtle facelifts, each one promising to restore youth, but with each procedure, the face the public once knew began to slowly fade away. At his lowest point, Simon's skin appeared unnervingly tight, unnaturally shiny, almost as if he were wearing a mask. The most painful moment, however, didn't come from the public's harsh words or media scrutiny. It came from his own family. Cowell later shared how his young son was so frightened by his appearance that he burst into tears. That raw, emotional reaction hit harder than any criticism from the outside world. It was in that moment that Simon realized he had crossed a line. In the years since, he's openly expressed regret, removing the fillers and vowing never to undergo invasive procedures again. Now, in his 60s, Simon Cowell has shifted his focus from appearance to health, prioritizing healthy eating, regular exercise, and a more peaceful life centered around his family. While he remains active in television as a producer and judge, the impact of his transformation is undeniable. Simon isn't just confronting the passage of time, he's also wrestling with his own reflection. The scars from that internal battle are still visible. Will this new focus on health help him find the peace he seeks? Or is it merely the next chapter in an ongoing struggle? Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss more stories that dive deep into the human experience. Linda Evangelista was once an untouchable icon, a face that became legendary in the fashion world. Known not just for her extraordinary beauty, but also for her commanding presence and grace, she embodied the ideal model for millions of women. With over 700 magazine covers and countless high-profile advertising campaigns, Linda Evangelista stood as one of the greatest supermodels of all time. But in 2016, everything took a dramatic turn. In an effort to find a gentle, non-invasive way to maintain her figure, Linda Evangelista opted for cool sculpting, hoping it would be a safe and effective method to preserve her beauty without turning to surgery. What she never anticipated was that this very treatment would lead to severe complications that were irreversible, completely transforming her appearance and inflicting both physical and emotional pain. The changes were not just a loss of the beauty she had carefully crafted over the years. They were a profound emotional shock, as Linda came to terms with the shattering of the image she had once been so proud of. Linda Evangelista's downfall was not just a personal shock, it served as a stark warning to both society and the cosmetic industry, where the pursuit of artificial, flawless beauty is often idolized. Confronting the severe complications from what she had believed to be a safe procedure, Linda endured not only intense physical pain but also the shame, isolation, and deep emotional trauma that followed. The surgeries she had undergone, which once promised transformative results, instead became an ongoing battle with her own reflection and her relentless fear of aging. In the end, Linda Evangelista was forced to step away from the spotlight, retreating into seclusion. Yet her story serves as a haunting reminder of the high price of perfection in today's world. What was meant to be a harmless procedure instead led to brutal, unforeseen consequences. Instead of the desired results, hard, swollen lumps formed where fat should have been eliminated, distorting her body and causing intense pain. The diagnosis of paradoxical adipose hyperplasia, rare, irreversible, and devastating, marked the beginning of her painful journey. For many years, Linda disappeared from the public eye, grappling with shame, depression, and the isolation that followed her physical and emotional scars. Later, Linda Evangelista confessed that she felt unrecognizable, trapped in a body that no longer reflected the person she once was. She had not only lost her appearance, but also her very sense of identity. Linda's story is not just about the physical toll of cosmetic procedures, it is deeply rooted in the mental and emotional anguish that followed. She had to confront the irreversible damage to her body while battling overwhelming self-loathing and a profound sense of emotional loss. What was once a symbol of beauty and perfection became a painful reminder of how far she had fallen, her body now a mere shadow of its former self. What's even more chilling is that in a society that frequently worships appearance, Linda Evangelista's loss went far beyond personal harm. It led to a descent into desperate isolation. In 2021, she broke her silence, filing a lawsuit and sharing shocking photos that left the world stunned. In the years since, Linda has cautiously returned to the spotlight, attending select fashion events and openly discussing the mental trauma she endured. She no longer hides from her past, but the scars, both physical and emotional, remain. Her story isn't one of vanity or luxury. It is a stark reminder of the hidden costs of chasing perfection and the deeply human toll it can take. Her story is one of betrayal, a shattered career, and the devastating cost of pursuing perfection in a world that demands flawlessness at any price. Linda Evangelista has chosen to face these deep wounds head-on, sharing them with the public as both a personal catharsis and a powerful warning. No longer the untouchable icon, she has become a courageous woman, unafraid to confront the consequences of chasing an unattainable ideal. Her journey serves as a poignant reminder that while outer beauty may fade, the price of refusing to accept one's natural self is far too steep. Katie Price has never been one to shy away from the spotlight, especially when it comes to her cosmetic surgeries. While many celebrities downplay or deny the significance of these transformations, Katie has boldly embraced them, building her image around her decision and never regretting it. In the late 1990s, she was known for her natural allure, but it didn't take long for Katie to recognize the power and allure of transformation in an industry obsessed with extremes. Beauty and change seem to be the keys to success in entertainment, and Katie wasted no time using them to carve out her own distinctive mark. What began with a single breast augmentation soon spiraled into an endless cycle of cosmetic procedures for Katie. From multiple breast surgeries to rhinoplasty, lip fillers, Botox, facelifts, and countless other adjustments, these transformations helped her craft a more striking and prominent image. Yet behind each change lies an ongoing struggle with herself. Transformation, it seems, became intertwined with her career and fame, but it also sparked deeper questions about the true value of self-worth. Despite her drastic physical changes, Katie has, at times, faced dissatisfaction with her appearance, grappling with the consequences of never stopping in her pursuit of external perfection. Over the years, Katie's appearance has shifted so dramatically that even her most devoted fans no longer recognize her. These increasingly visible transformations have not only made her a symbol of the cosmetic surgery world, but also ignited debates about the motivations and repercussions of constant alteration. By the end of the 2000s and 10s, some surgeons openly expressed their concerns, warning that her body was being pushed to dangerous extremes. They cautioned that the procedures she was undergoing were beginning to surpass the safe limits of modern medicine. Doctors warned that continuous surgeries could lead to long-term damage and irreversible effects on her health, but Katie refused to retreat. She took pride in the transformations she had undergone, proudly calling herself someone who was completely transformable through cosmetic surgery. To her, it wasn't a sign of insecurity, but a symbol of empowerment and control. For Katie, surgery wasn't just about altering her appearance. It was about asserting control over her life and image. She believed each procedure brought her closer to the best version of herself, and in her eyes, that was her right to pursue. However, the price of her constant transformations began to weigh heavily on her. Health issues started to surface, with signs of fatigue and physical strain serving as a stark reminder that the pursuit of perfection might come at the cost of her well-being. Public opinion also grew increasingly critical of her never-ending changes. In recent years, Katie has continued to make appearances on television and at public events. But her story is no longer just about transformation. It has evolved into a cautionary tale, highlighting the dangers and consequences of chasing perfection without considering the limits of both body and mind. Health struggles, financial troubles, and emotional turmoil have followed Katie Price in every tabloid headline. Now in her 40s, she remains a familiar face in UK tabloids and reality television, openly sharing her experiences with surgeries, regrets, and the challenges she continues to face. Her story is no longer just about excess. Katie Price hasn't merely altered her body, she has turned herself into a living experiment, compelling the world to confront a difficult question. When transformation never stops, what remains of the original self? Can endless change erase the true identity of a person? Like this video and subscribe to the channel to dive deeper into more thought-provoking stories about transformation and identity. For decades, Joan Van Ark was the embodiment of classic American beauty, becoming an unforgettable face of the 1980s through her role in Knots Landing. She aged in the public eye, but unlike many of her peers, her transformation seemed far from natural. It felt unsettling. Over the years, her rare public appearances have sparked intense reactions, with her skin appearing unnaturally tight, her lips noticeably swollen, and her facial features altered to the point where fans struggled to recognize her. Despite the speculation, Joan Van Ark has never publicly confirmed undergoing cosmetic surgery. However, the dramatic changes in her appearance spoke louder than any words could. Commentators and medical experts continually speculated that Joan had undergone multiple facelifts, dermal fillers, Botox, and brow lifts, pointing to a long and relentless battle against aging rather than a natural embrace of it. In an industry where beauty and appearance are always under scrutiny, Joan was unable to escape the pressure to maintain perfection. What makes her transformation particularly haunting is not just the physical difference, but the emotions that seem to lie behind those changes, a reflection of the toll that the pursuit of flawless beauty can take, both on the body and the soul. When looking at her face, one doesn't just see the marks of aesthetic intervention, but also feels a sense of fear, harshness, and perhaps even despair in the relentless pursuit of an image untouched by time. Joan, once the epitome of beauty and grace in Hollywood, now faces a harsh truth. External beauty is fleeting, and aging is inevitable. Yet, instead of accepting the natural course of life, she chose to alter herself, fully aware that no amount of intervention could ever halt the march of time. Her transformation is a poignant reminder of the struggle between external perfection and the inevitable passage of time, highlighting the emotional toll of trying to maintain a youthful appearance at any cost. In recent years, Joan Van Ark has largely retreated from the spotlight, opting for a more private life away from the constant scrutiny of the public and media. Now in her 80s, she makes rare public appearances, with her legacy continuing to live on through reruns and the nostalgic memories of television's golden age. Joan was once celebrated as one of Hollywood's most iconic beauties and talents, but as time passed, the very industry she had once ruled began to shift away from the values and ideals she had embodied. Her story serves as both a testament to her undeniable influence and a reflection of the fleeting nature of fame in an ever-evolving world. The story of Joan Van Ark is not one of scandal or excess, but rather a quiet reflection on the inevitable transformations a star faces as the shadow of aging and fading beauty gradually takes hold. Joan didn't just confront changes in her appearance. She battled with herself as she came to terms with the harsh reality that age is unstoppable, and that external beauty, once her greatest asset, can no longer guarantee a lasting place in an industry so unforgiving. Is beauty and youth truly everything in the world of celebrities? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more captivating and thought-provoking stories about life, careers, and the ongoing struggles of the stars. Carol Bryan's story serves as a painful and powerful reminder of the risks behind cosmetic procedures. In 2009, at the age of 47, Carol, like many women seeking to refresh her appearance, opted for cosmetic fillers. What she believed would be a simple, minimally invasive facelift procedure soon turned into a life-altering nightmare. She never imagined that the injections, which were supposed to be harmless, contained toxic substances including silicone. These substances were injected into her forehead and cheeks, setting off a chain of events that would forever change her life. The consequences were devastating. Severe facial deformities, swelling, uneven texture, and the gradual erosion of her natural features. As her appearance deteriorated, Carol's mental health began to spiral. Despite countless attempts to repair the damage, she became isolated, depressed, and at times, completely detached from society. The emotional toll was so overwhelming that she confided only in her daughter, struggling with suicidal thoughts as she faced the wreckage of her former self. In 2013, desperate for a solution, Carol turned to a craniofacial specialist and underwent extensive reconstructive surgery. Tragically, this procedure resulted in permanent damage to her optic nerve, leaving her with the loss of vision in one eye, further deepening the profound cost of her pursuit of beauty. Over the years, Carol has undergone several more surgeries, including skin grafts and partial facial reconstruction, in an attempt to restore both function and confidence. Now in her late 50s, she continues to live with the lasting physical and emotional scars of her journey. Carol has openly shared her struggles with self-esteem, isolation, and the deep sorrow of losing the future she once envisioned. Her story serves as a powerful cautionary tale for those considering cosmetic procedures, especially older individuals. It highlights the crucial importance of thorough research, seeking licensed professionals, and setting realistic expectations, lessons learned the hard way through years of suffering and sacrifice. Pixie Fox didn't seek fame by trying to resemble other celebrities. She pursued a fantasy. Her dream was to become a living cartoon character, a surreal blend of Tinkerbell and Jessica Rabbit, where reality and imagination converged. Makeup and filters were never enough to bring this vision to life. Pixie turned to extreme cosmetic surgery, committing herself to permanently altering her body to match an irreversible ideal. Over the years, it's been reported that she has spent over $200,000 on a range of procedures, including multiple breast augmentations, rhinoplasty, eyelid surgery, cheek implants, Brazilian butt lifts, and permanent makeup, all in pursuit of her extraordinary, larger-than-life fantasy. The most shocking and extreme decision Pixie Fox made was having 6 healthy ribs removed to shrink her waist to an almost inhuman size. Many surgeons refused to perform the procedure, citing the immense risks, but eventually one agreed, and the transformation was carried out. For a time, Pixie reveled in the public attention, viewing her body as a living work of art, and her choices as bold expressions of power and control. However, behind this carefully crafted persona lay severe health risks. The permanent consequences of her extreme alterations began to reveal themselves as the dangers of pushing the body to such extremes became impossible to ignore. Health complications began to emerge, and in recent years, Pixie Fox has retreated from the public eye, emphasizing the need to prioritize her well-being. Today, she lives more privately, but her image continues to circulate online, sparking both astonishment and concern. Her story raises an uncomfortable question for a generation that has grown up with filters and illusions. When beauty is deliberately crafted to become unrealistic, where do the limits truly lie? Have you ever wondered, when beauty is distorted, what remains of the true self? Hit like and subscribe to explore more fascinating and thought-provoking stories about life, transformation, and the pursuit of perfection. Scott Thompson, better known by his stage name Carrot Top, crafted a career built on exaggeration. His wild red hair, noisy props, and over-the-top muscular build were all intentionally amplified to create a striking and easily recognizable image. These elements not only helped him make a memorable impression on audiences, but also became a key part of his unique comedic style. However, over time, the most attention-grabbing aspect of his public persona shifted from his comedic talent to his increasingly noticeable facial changes. As Carrot Top's facial changes became more noticeable, his face, rather than his comedy, became the focal point of public discussion. The features on his face, especially his muscles, no longer seemed natural, but appeared to be the result of cosmetic interventions. This transformation, rather than his comedic performances, began to draw the most attention. It raises an important question about the motivations behind these changes. Was it a pursuit of perfection in a constantly evolving industry, or simply an attempt to maintain relevance in a glamorous world that demands novelty at every turn? As Carrot Top entered his 50s and 60s, his appearance began to change in ways that were subtle, yet undeniably noticeable to those who closely followed him. His cheekbones became unusually sharp, his forehead unnaturally smooth, and his facial expressions seemed increasingly rigid, losing the natural flexibility that once defined his dynamic presence. These changes sparked whispers among audiences, followed by jokes, and eventually open questions about whether he had undergone cosmetic surgery to achieve such a look. Carrot Top has consistently denied the rumors, insisting that his youthful appearance is the result of intense training, a strict diet, and a disciplined lifestyle. However, with each noticeable change, the suspicions only grew stronger. The public couldn't help but draw comparisons between his current image and the way he looked when he first began his career. This raises the question of whether the pressure to maintain his public image had become so overwhelming that it pushed him to alter his appearance, perhaps in a desperate attempt to stay relevant in an industry that often equates youth with success. However, the focus on Carrot Top has shifted. The attention that once centered on his comedic talent is now primarily consumed by curiosity about his physical changes. Maintaining a standout image in the entertainment industry has increasingly placed him in a difficult position, where he not only faces career pressures, but also has to address the growing suspicions about his cosmetic interventions. While he continues to work and make public appearances, the narrative surrounding him has shifted. His story is no longer about his comedic skills or any admissions he might make, but rather about the transformation that has sparked widespread speculation, intrigue, and public fascination. Anastasia Pokryschuk is one of the most controversial figures on the internet when it comes to extreme cosmetic procedures. Born in Ukraine, she gained widespread attention after undergoing a dramatic transformation that no one could have anticipated. The most striking aspect of her new look is her enormous cheeks, which she proudly claims are the biggest in the world. Her appearance is both shocking and mesmerizing, capturing the attention of millions of online viewers who find it impossible to look away. However, Anastasia didn't always look this way. In old photos, she appears as an ordinary young woman. Yet deep insecurities about her appearance led her down a bold, relentless path of cosmetic modification. Starting with fillers and Botox, Anastasia Pokryschuk soon began experimenting with lip enhancements and facial reshaping, quickly becoming trapped in a cycle of constant transformation. In several interviews, she openly admitted that, at one point, she even injected fillers at home, without the help of any licensed professional. Despite the widespread criticism and concern about her extreme modifications, Anastasia remains unwavering in her choices. To her, her appearance is a form of self-expression, and these bold, extreme features make her feel more beautiful and confident. She views her look as a kind of art, one that becomes even more apparent every time she faces criticism, fueling her determination to maintain the image she has created. As Anastasia's fame continues to grow, so too does the public's concern. Many wonder about the psychological toll behind her extreme body modifications. Experts and followers alike speculate that she may be struggling with body dysmorphic disorder, or even developing an addiction to cosmetic procedures. Her story raises difficult questions. Where does personal freedom cross the line into self-harm? Is this a display of true confidence, or a silent cry for help? Whether you view her as someone challenging beauty standards or as a victim of aesthetic obsession, one thing is certain. Anastasia Pokryschuk is impossible to ignore. Blondie Bennett's transformation goes far beyond traditional surgery. It's even more disturbing. Unlike others who pursue beauty or youth, Blondie is driven by a desire for distortion. Obsessed with Barbie dolls since childhood, she didn't just want to look like one, she wanted to be one. Over the years, she has undergone numerous cosmetic procedures, including breast augmentations, rhinoplasty, Botox injections, and dermal fillers, shaping her body into a plastic fantasy. But the most concerning choice she made wasn't with a scalpel. It was her decision to inject herself with a substance called liquid silicone, leading to irreversible physical changes. This extreme move raises troubling questions about her motivations and the potential consequences of her obsession. Blondie Bennett openly admitted to undergoing multiple hypnosis sessions with the shocking goal of lowering her intelligence. She claimed she wanted to think less, remember less, and exist as a hollow ornament, believing that this would make her more attractive. Many assumed it was a form of performance art or satire, but Blondie insisted it was not. In interviews, she spoke calmly about her memory loss, confused thinking, and her desire to completely abandon complexity. This chilling pursuit of simplicity, driven by her belief that beauty lies in a lack of intellectual depth, raises disturbing questions about the lengths to which some will go in search of validation, and the consequences of sacrificing one's mental well-being for external approval. In recent years, Blondie Bennett has stayed active on social media and appeared on small television shows, continuing to defend her choices as a matter of personal freedom. However, her story leaves behind an uncomfortable silence. This is not just about altering her body, it's about completely abandoning herself. In a culture that often elevates emptiness and objectification, Blondie has become a living embodiment of that very message. The most frightening part is not just what she has changed, but what she is willing to sacrifice to feel complete. Her own sense of self, her intellectual capacity, and the depth of her humanity, all in pursuit of an unattainable ideal of beauty. These stories aren't just about cosmetic surgery or celebrity excess. They reflect a culture that fears aging, silence, and being forgotten. Leave a 1 if you understand and relate to their choices, or a 0 if you see things differently. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the untold stories behind the spotlight, where every event holds a valuable lesson.